Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. We got an amazing video here where Michael Saylor, the king of the grifters, the Bitcoin pumping degenerate con man, criticizes and warns Warren Buffett about Bitcoin's potential. What an arrogant freaking prick. So let's go ahead and react to this video. We'll speed it up a little bit and see what this absolute con man, degenerate, negligent CEO has to say.
Where you were suggesting Apple should buy $100 billion in Bitcoin. You said, Bill Gates, call me if you want to make the next trillion, meaning buy Bitcoin. Yeah. And then when I saw a number that just recently came out, is that Berkshire Hathaway, if I'm not mistaken, they're sitting on $325 billion of cash. $325 billion of cash where they're sitting at. If you, right there, $325 billion of cash. Are any of these guys in communication with you? Have you spoken to Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Tim Cook, any of them?
I mean, I speak to anybody about this in confidence, but then I never disclose what I say or that I spoke to them. But I do speak to...
So apparently he's speaking to very important people, but he'll never disclose it. Michael Saylor is not talking to anybody credible. Anybody credible, especially the CEO of a major mega cap corporation, is not talking to Michael Saylor. He's a con man that put his entire company's fortune and future into Bitcoin via leverage. He's an idiot. Nobody's talking to this guy that has any credibility whatsoever. I'm surprised Jeremy hasn't talked to him.
A lot of mega billionaires and public companies about it. And I'll make a few points on this. One, that 320 billion, that is destroying $32 billion a year. They are destroying $3 billion a month in capital because they're generating a 3% after-tax yield at best, and the cost of capital is 15%. So take 12% negative real yield on that. That is the cost. Multiply 325 billion times 12%. That's what the shareholders are paying right now.
Okay, so apparently Warren Buffett, by holding money in treasuries during a pretty expensive market, I mean, who knows where the market's going to go, but he's got a huge balance of treasuries, billions of dollars, where he can collect interest and get a guaranteed return from the federal government with the most widely accepted currency in the world. Warren Buffett is apparently destroying shareholder capital, holding on to cash, because he doesn't know what he's doing, right? Well, tell me, Michael Saylor, if he's getting a, 3% after-tax yield, what after-tax yield are you getting from Bitcoin? Oh, that's right, nothing, idiot.
For that. The second point I make is, if you look at Microsoft, for example, 98.5% of the equity value of Microsoft is based on forward expectations of quarterly earnings. And 1.5% of the value of Microsoft is based upon tangible liquid assets. And another way to...
Really? A stock's value is based on future cash flow expectations? Wow! Maybe I should buy MicroStrategy.
Say it is Microsoft is 144 times levered to their quarterly earnings. If they earn $3 billion a quarter or X billion, whatever the number is a quarter, more than that, I guess, but you multiply it by 144x. Right? And if they miss by $1 billion, it's 144 billion where you move. And the reason why operating companies are like that.
Yes, if Microsoft's earnings don't meet expectations, of course the company could lose valuation. As opposed to what? Buying a scam coin with real debt? Is he trolling us? This guy cannot be serious about what he's saying right now. Remember, this man is taking Bitcoin. He's taking debt. He's borrowing billions of dollars of convertible debt. And he's buying Bitcoin, a fundamentally worthless asset that is a massive pump and dump. And what he's trying to do is evangelize and try to convince companies and people to buy Bitcoin because that elevates the price for him so he can profit from it. It's all one giant scam. Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, you frickin' pinheads. Oh, but Warren Buffett is holding on to cash because he doesn't see good opportunities, and he's collecting basically risk-free money. He's collecting billions of dollars of interest income. But he's the dumb one. I'm the smart guy by buying Bitcoin on leverage.
That is because the SEC 33 Act and the SEC 40 Act required that operating companies hold no more than 40% of their liquid assets in securities. So normally that's used treasury bills. And treasury bills, as we just showed on that chart, are toxic. It's toxic capital. It's poison. You might as well just inject poison into your veins, right? You're
T-bills are poison. Bitcoin is not. Can you believe the audacity of this man? The absolute audacity of this con man to say that holding treasuries, if I was a billionaire, oh yeah, I would have treasuries, okay? Because I have so much freaking money, I can just live off the interest, risk-free. As opposed to scam clown token that has no intrinsic value. You want to talk about capital destruction? You want to talk about annihilation? He's buying a worthless asset worth 0, so we're debiting 0, and we're crediting a massive liability. Now, it balances in accounting because for some reason we treat Bitcoin as an asset, but it's not an asset. It's a bunch of ones and zeros that clowns use to speculate and trade back and forth. It's not a real currency. It's deflationary. Who would spend Bitcoin? Why would you have any reason to spend Bitcoin? You don't. It's simply for gambling. And for the clowns that bought it first to convince other people to buy it so it pumps up them and they can dump it on other clowns. That's what's going on here. Simple as that. Shut your freaking mouth. I don't care about whatever anybody else says. It is worthless, 100%. I will never change my convictions. Weaklings, but it went up.
You're bleeding 10% of your capital a year. So they don't keep the capital. And Bitcoin is a major revolution because starting in 2025, you can account for Bitcoin on fair value basis, which means that Bitcoin is just as good as treasury bills. And
what? So he's talking. Oh my God. So he's talking about a change in accounting. So before, if I remember properly, when Bitcoin went down on your balance sheet, you would have to write it down, but you couldn't write it up. And then they changed the accounting rules to say that if Bitcoin goes up, you can record profits, which is stupid. Okay? It's like a profit? Well, for what? Because some fake asset went up in value because clowns bought it at higher prices? He's talking about a change in accounting rules. That changes nothing. That doesn't make Bitcoin as good as a treasury. If you want to park your money in cash and wait for an opportunity, treasuries are a much better bet than a highly volatile scam token like Bitcoin that fluctuates everywhere. That's capital destruction. Because in bull markets, it looks amazing. In bear markets, you'll see some serious capital destruction. And it will be no greater. It will be astronomical. MicroStrategies will collapse like you've never seen something collapse in history. And it will be beautiful. And I will laugh. I will sleep like a baby that night.
It's a commodity, so you can have 100% of your balance sheet in Bitcoin. And what that means is Microsoft, if they just stopped dividending out their cash flow and stopped buying back their stock and they convert it to a Bitcoin buy, and you crank in like a conservative, like a 21% assumption, like half their cash flow in Bitcoin, you make $1 trillion over 10 years.
What? So stop buying back stock and paying dividends and buy Bitcoin? Oh, but they make so much money. What money is being made? It's a notional value of a worthless asset that clowns are trading between each other. That would be the most negligent thing a company could do. Would be to stop buying back shares and paying dividends to buy Bitcoin. This is unreal. This man is on a huge platform right now preaching this absolute garbage. God bless America.
You know, you put all your cash into Bitcoin, you make 2 to 4.
And Petrobet David's like, oh, interesting there, Michael Saylor. Call him out, you little bussy. What a little bussy.
$1 trillion for the shareholders, right?
If Berkshire did that.
No, if Microsoft did it.
If
Berkshire did it, they would make more, right? I mean, they've got if they flipped that, you know, put $300 billion into Bitcoin and grow 21%, you're generating $60 billion a year.
Oh, yeah, it just grows 21%, bro. Because it does. Yeah. He's just pulling numbers out of his rectum.
Of investment income.
Michael, how much do you cold call? Like, meaning, how much do clients call you versus you call them? Are you also
people
prospecting?
Contact me?
Okay.
Like I'm not out there. Like I'm not out there trying to get in the doors to pitch this. I just do it as a public service. I mean, my day job is I focus on MicroStrategy and our capital markets activity, and you know we're going to do an equity or a debt raise or something.
His day job is working at MicroStrategy. All they do, I mean, they have their little clown business. I don't even think it makes money. His job is to buy Bitcoin. That's his job. Wow, what a genius. He just buys Bitcoin. What takes a genius to buy Bitcoin? Wow, I wish I had that freaking job. What a scam.
And then my copious free time, I advocate and educate on Bitcoin. And then as a result of that, you know,
you mean pump it up So you buy it and then you evangelize it and other people buy it and it makes you wealthier, at least on paper. That's what you're doing, con man.
Got 3.7 million followers. So I get a lot of people, a lot of inbound people. I talk to people like Similar Scientific, where the CEO calls me and says, I want to talk about what you did, explain it. And I'll get inbound calls from people that want to be on a Bitcoin standard, and I'll explain what we did and how.
Buy Bitcoin with debt. Pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it. That's what he did.
We did it, and sometimes I'll brief the board of directors or the officers and directors. But
how often are those calls prime ministers or presidents of countries?
Sometimes it's politicians, sometimes it's governors, sometimes it's senators, sometimes it's congressmen, sometimes it's
billionaires.
others.
If that's true, we are cooked. Cooked in the United States. If he's talking to congressmen and senators. What a disaster.
A lot of,
I guess what I'm asking that question is, like, I wonder if you would be, open to the idea, or would it even be that way? Because I think in this space, if you were to call somebody at Berkshire and say, hey guys, can I come? Can we spend an hour together? Can we get 30 minutes together to talk to you about this? To see what that would look like. I wonder what that conversation would look like with you and Buffett if you sat across from each other.
That conversation would never happen because Warren Buffett is way smarter than you, and he knows you're a fraud and a moron.
I'd be willing to bet you that if I had an hour alone with Buffett in a calm environment, I'd walk out and he would say, this Bitcoin thing's a pretty good idea. Charlie would have liked it, and we're going to buy some.
Have you made the cold call?
Oh, God. Yeah, what do I even say to that, man? What a crazy freaking world. You think Warren Buffett, after almost a century of life investing, would allow this con man to convince his lifetime of experience to change his mind? Get out of here.
I have not.
Why not?
Because Bitcoin's on a need-to-know basis, and people have to feel like they need to understand it, like they've got a problem in order to have an open mind. And if they don't acknowledge they have a problem, they don't have an open mind, and they take a conventional view toward the world, it's like the people with a strong corporate view and a healthy company and a strong conviction in their company, they don't have an open mind to a profound paradigm shift. They don't want to embrace.
Oh, that sounds like if you're actually providing real value, you focus on your value creation. And if your company's failing because you're a garbage businessman like you con man, then you start considering Bitcoin. That's basically what he said.
Embrace that idea.
Maybe the call to Buffett could be seen as a public service, and you want to be a public servant. So if you were to make...
Oh, yeah, you're saving the children by pumping Bitcoin. Oh, what a freaking hero.
That public service phone call, and you guys sat down and spoke, and you went to Omaha, and all of a sudden he comes out and says, we made a decision to buy $100 billion of Bitcoin after my conversation with Michael Saylor. I think that's a public service.
I will say, for the record, I'm happy to go visit anybody that has $100 billion of cash that's sitting and burning $10 billion of shareholder value a year. I will go visit you, and I will provide you.
If I was a billionaire, I would have a poster with my security guards being like, do not let this man within 100 feet of my building. He would be banned. His picture would be the only one. Felons could come by, criminals, but this guy would not be allowed.
You with all of the information you need in order to be convinced that you should flip to the Bitcoin standard.
He's got 325 billion of it. But by the way, when I looked at the numbers with you guys, you got roughly, 331,000 if I'm not mistaken? Is that how many it is? 331,200 Bitcoins, right?
As of this morning.
And I saw that BlackRock, their Bitcoin trust, iShare has roughly 471,328 as of November 15, which is 2.2%.
Yeah, they're ahead of us. I'm jealous.
So, but here's the question I'm asking.
Yeah.
If they have 471, which is roughly 2.2% of all Bitcoin, you got 331, which is roughly 1.5% of all Bitcoin, right? Neither one of you guys are selling. So 4% is gone, okay? Of the 21 million shares, many times you'll hear that 3 million of it people are not going to get access to, right? Whatever reason. 18.5 million, give or take. So let's just say 18 million. So there's another 3 million gone there. So you have yours.
So if there's not many available, so that means the more people get interested, the more the price is going to go up. Yeah, it's a pump and dump. You create the perception of value in a worthless asset, and you convince people to buy it. That's all it is. How is this hard to understand? You people are not smart. You're sucked into vertical lines. You guys are so cooked.
They have there, so let's just say 17 million. And then you've also brought up the idea of what I think the U.S. government right now, if I'm not mistaken, holds 183,000 Bitcoins at $12 billion, right? If I'm not
Yeah, you want to know why? Because they probably seized it from criminals.
mistaken. 183,000 Bitcoins at $12 billion. I think you proposed the president to buy a million shares of Bitcoin, a million Bitcoins, which would be roughly 90 billion. And if they wanted to go to the highest level, if they would buy 6 million of it, which would be roughly $500 billion. At that point, if that happens, and others, typically it's a buy and hope.
What a negligent waste of taxpayer dollars. Imagine the government taxes you. Oh, the government's running deficits. And they're taking money and they're buying Bitcoin? Get out of here. That would be the most negligent waste of U.S. taxpayer dollars ever in history. And trust me, there's a lot of waste out there.
A situation. If it gets to a point that most of it is locked up, what happens to the store value?
Can you put up the slide with the Bitcoin strategic reserve and the different plans there that's in that?
Oh, it's our, if we go to war with China, we're gonna do our petroleum reserve, and we're gonna take our military stockpiles, and then we're gonna take out our Bitcoin because it's there for something. Somehow it'll help us. I don't know. Why would you pump a competing currency? What do you think that would do to the treasury markets? Everybody started piling into Bitcoin instead of treasuries. That makes no sense.
Presentation. So, first of all, it's Cynthia Lummis has put forth the proposal that the United States establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and it's
that senator needs to be unelected.
It's a brilliant idea that she's presented to the Senate. And I have a slide in my presentation at the very end that actually shows it.
We don't have that one.
Okay,
just so you know, we don't have that one.
Okay, well,
yeah.
It's a slide of, his Bitcoin holdings and then where they would go if the government bought them. Enriching himself. That's the slide. This world is insane. Okay, something is not right in the markets. Something is not right in this world that this crap is happening. We need a cleanse of the markets. But stocks just go up, Bitcoin, blah, blah. What a freaking disaster for the world.
Then I'll just describe it verbally. So that the geopolitical logic here is simple. It's go where all the money is going to go and buy it first. And so if you knew that everybody was going to move to Manhattan and you could buy 20% of Manhattan in 1650, it would be a good idea. But maybe more to the point, the British came to the New World and they grabbed the New World, and that's what created the British Empire. So
yeah, everybody's going to go to Bitcoin, so we got to buy it first. Or maybe they don't, and you spent taxpayer dollars on worthless garbage.
The United States runs the world's reserve currency, but Bitcoin is emerging as the world's reserve capital network. If you just want to keep your money forever, and everybody in the world loves that idea. I'd like to just keep my money forever. So the smartest thing for the U.S. to
money in and of itself is worthless. It's paper. Okay, that's Bitcoin. Money is a way to transact between people. That's all it is. That's Bitcoin. What's the value of Bitcoin in and of itself? It's worthless.
do is to buy up as much of that as they can. So you buy 1 million coin, that's 5% of the network. Buy 4 million coin, you got 20% of the network. Why not buy 20, 25, 30% of the network? If you buy the network, you can buy it for money which is effectively free. In fact, you could just sell the gold, swap it to Bitcoin, and then as Bitcoin becomes a 200, 300, 400 trillion dollar asset, right? You're sitting on anywhere from 40 to 80.
$400 trillion asset. Why not 100 zillion, Michael Saylor? Why not a gazillion, bagillion, bazillion? Well, just say whatever number you want.
$1 trillion gain. And so the logic of this is pretty clear. First of all the foreign capital in the world is going to be drawn into the Bitcoin network. So if the United States owns it, then that's like the same as the money coming to the U.S. You're just drawing capital from Russia, from China, from Africa, from South America. It's going to come to the U.S. on the Bitcoin network if the U.S. owns it. The second logic is all the capital from the 20th century is stampeding into the 21st century.
We're going to take all the wealth from the world by buying a worthless asset. Yeah, we're going to take over the world. We're going to be trillionaires in the U.S. Everybody's going to be a trillionaire because we bought Bitcoin. Yeah, it's as easy as that. Does anybody believe this? Looks like Patrick Bussey does.
Century. So all the money that was invested in crappy bonds and decaying real estate and warehouses falling down and companies that are going out of business, all that money is going to go into the Bitcoin network. So you own the 21st century. And the third idea here is right now, a lot of people use U.S. sovereign debt as their capital asset, which, as I just pointed out, is minus 5%. Every business.
Yeah, the government's going to be cool with something else replacing treasuries. Yeah, the government's going to be really cool with that, Michael.
This person knows it's not as good as the S&P index. So if people start to swap out the treasury bonds and they start to buy Bitcoin with it, then you would want to own the Bitcoin because that way you don't have to worry about people replacing the U.S. treasury asset with a Bitcoin asset because the U.S. owns Bitcoin too. So this defends the U.S. reserve currency status. It defends U.S. economic leadership. It attracts capital from our enemies.
Oh, it defends the U.S. currency status. If the United States seriously did this, this would be the start of the decline of the empire. It would be the end of America. That we got so stupid that we listened to con men and we bought Bitcoin with our government, with our freaking taxpayer dollars. The end of America. At least the beginning of the end.
Enemies. It attracts foreign capital, and it actually lays in place a peaceful...
Oh, it's a miracle drug. It does everything. Oh, it'll give you a handy.
Equitable solution to working out our differences with everybody in the world that's a business person would appreciate.
Oh, it'll bring world peace.
And so, yeah, like if you could buy Manhattan for free with 60 guilders or some glass beads or something, and you knew that it was the best port in North America, and one day all of Europe's going to come and do business in North America, it would be the best investment going.
I don't know if you see it or not, but a lot of big moves are being made in business right now, specifically since Trump won the...
Okay. What do y'all think about this? Check out the pinned comment below. I don't even know what to say anymore. Everything is so stupid now. I think everybody's collectively lost their minds. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments below. Check out the pinned comment if you want sponsored video. If you want to use my tax preparation services, I'm a certified public accountant. I'm experienced in individual and business tax preparation for a reasonable fee. And y'all have a wonderful day. Cheers!